Okay, just want to kind of share with you some things that I've kind of a new point of view, kind of a new some, and I think there's some new understanding. I got some new understanding about politics in this country that I live in, America, um, and it kind of goes in line with some things I've been looking at and everything else. So what I realized was that you got to take this with a grain of salt. It's a work in progress. I think there's some real truth in what I'm saying. There's also probably some stuff that's off base and a little bit misguided and misinformed. But I'm just a regular guy, so you have to take you have to take the insights or whatever because I think there are some along with some other stuff you're gonna go, oh God, he doesn't know about that. Sorry, but for whatever it's worth, here it is, and that is that the United States, as we all know, is a lot of things and a lot of good things too. But one of the things that kind of preoccupies everybody these days is like the materiality of the place. Boy, and of course it happens all over the world. But there's we're kind of watching something kind of get stronger and be more dominant, and kind of a watershed kind of moment where things are really getting a certain way. So we see things, because they're changing, and so we notice things. And so what I was realizing today is that, see, the people, you know, there's a group of people in this country that the material forces, the materiality, the material kind of urge, or the material aspect of their lives is quite successful, you might say, and very strong. And and so we're just going to say material beings. They're material beings. Of course, maybe there's more to it than that. Some are kind of partly material in this and everything. But we're just, for the purposes of being simple, we're going to say they're material beings. And so in the material world, they make the grade. In other words, because and of course this is just my kind of point of view or understanding or whatever you might want to say, but a work in progress. But I would see the material beings and the people in this world that are kind of mostly aligned with the material beings and kind of get into that, are this is their world. They rule this world, and they're in charge of it. They get to be, a lot of times, well, they have big actions here, and the poor human beings that have to come here, they're mostly human. They have quite a fight from the get-go. Of course, they don't realize it at first, because everybody has the human body, and you don't realize that a lot of the people around you are either kind of already been kind of something is a word, sort of taken up. They've kind of gotten themselves consigned or something to the material people. So, like you go to school, and the whole thing about school, a lot of it, it seems to be this and that, and you're learning things and everything. But really, if you'll notice, a lot of it is to be like, what kind of a possible material being are you, and could you kind of, make the grade and become like one of the material beings that kind of runs things. So the deal is that um, there's two possibilities. One is you could become, or you are one, and they're just kind of helping you along, try to find you that you are one. And the other one is that you would be a good candidate to kind of be their slave or work for them, do things for them, what they want. So you go to school, and you have to be fast and not much feeling, no, um, and you have to kind of keep making the grade, do more and more stuff and things, and be really clever and smart materially, about things, and particularly like mathematics and chemistry and stuff like that, physics, and or business things, the whole understanding of how the material thing works in business, and so, boy, if you get going along that track, why, you can go to Harvard or Yale or someplace, and you might just kind of be a new material. Most of the material people, a lot of the material people are already have lots of money. They always seem to have a lot of money they got from. Well, they got it from slaves like us. I mean, people that weren't material, and they got them to work for them, and then they got all their money. So the guy works all his life, and like say in any given day, uh, he does some wonderful thing, and he gets maybe $100,000 for the material boss, and then but he gets like $500. So it's a great deal. They get a great make great use of all these people. Now, coming to politics, the people who run the country, um, and particularly, I don't want to kind of pick on people, but just because it fits so well, we'll talk about in our country, America, there's this group called the Republicans, and it's kind of a well-known thing that Republicans consist of, this is my opinion, so it's probably not completely correct, but it's like it's a general attitude I have, and I mean that other people also subscribe to, which is that the Republicans are mostly material beings, and so there's the hardcore group. They are the material beings. And then there are the people that are kind of their slaves, and they're kind of people that they completely won over to their point of view, materiality, and they kind of run things. I mean, that's the thing. Now, these material beings are really only interested in themselves, other material beings, how material beings work, get more stuff and things, and how they use the slaves or other people who aren't material to try to get them all to kind of come along and do this lots of work for them, and so that they get more stuff and things, and that's what they like to do, is get more stuff and more and more and more, because the more they have, the more material they are, and that's what they like to be. So, but here's the funny thing, the reason I'm even bothering me is because I realized something about the Democrats, that I didn't realize before, because lately it's been like, well, darn, those Democrats, we thought they were a completely different group of people, but they seem to be kind of doing the same thing, and I have an explanation for that. I've realized something about why it is that the Democrats are just, doing a lot of things that they're doing, and that's because, see, the Republicans, they are the material beings, and as I say, they don't really care, and they don't care about non-material beings, human beings, vegetable beings, animal beings, things like that. They don't care about that. They care about material beings. So they run things, and every time that they get into office, why, they show who they are, because they immediately try to kind of, because, for a material being, see, if you're not a material being, you didn't make it. You showed that you didn't understand, and you weren't really able to make lots of money and do things that material beings do, and not care and stuff like that. Why, then you're just nothing really, and so they like to kind of, you're kind of a bother to them. Now, so if you don't make money for them, see, if you make money for them and you slave for them, you're middle class and everything, that's good. They like you. They'll use you, and they'll try to be careful, kind of, so they don't want to completely get rid of you or anything. Although they don't really think much of you, but because you're not in the club, you're not a material person. So what they do is, so once they get into office, then the poor. Now, by the poor, I mean this unfortunate group of people who not only is not material, mostly, there's exceptions to everything, but mostly not material, and also aren't much use because they're not slaving properly they're not making a lot of money for the real material beings, the Republicans and others, So they just want to get rid of them. They're just passed. So they do, every time they get in office, they kind of try to say, don't, just eliminate those people. They do that. They say, well, oh, we're not going to give them any more money. Hoping they'll starve to death and things like that. And they have their whole list of reasons why they do this. But, basically, you look at what's actually happening. That's what happened. Now, the thing is that I thought was insightful, which I probably shouldn't say, but I mean, is about the Democrats. See, because I think the Democrats, they're not so, see, they're kind of like aspiring material beings. They want to be a material being, too. They want to actually, they want to kind of, a lot of, there's a bunch of them, like a fifth column, a big group of Democrats. They're really aspiring Republicans. They want to be a Republican too. They want to win the approval of the Republicans so that they can get in and be one of those material beings. So when they get to office and everything, they suck up to the material beings and kind of go along with them, and say, yeah, that's good, sure, yeah, I see. No, I feel the same way. See, they try to kind of get into the club. And so that's why, so a lot of times the Democrats are kind of acting against the other Democrats because they they're like, as I say, a fifth column. They're sort of betraying their own group because actually they're aspiring Republicans. That's what they are. They want to be in that group too. So I've been realizing that. And so, those of us who aren't material beings, we want to keep those material beings out of office as much as we can because they'll kill us if they can. If they can't kill you, they can send you off to some place where you could be killed there. Or there's other possibilities. They can just regulate the living daylights out of you so that, and maybe put you in prison. Because here's the thing, see, they can get you into prison. That's good because they get those, and they have too, right? They've been doing it. They get those prisoners to make money for them, see? Oh, there's the thing. They're advancing along in their processes pretty well in this country. So, have lots of prisons, sure, a lot of people, and then they work there, don't they? And they make things. Then money can be made, off of all that work that they do, see? And they don't have to pay them anything, so it's pretty good. But, they kind of, they're into that, and, and, if they get some others that happen to come in and don't work or something, don't work for them, then that's okay too, because at least they're happy enough to know there's people are getting miserable or probably nothing good will come, they'll end well. And, a material being, you can't really maybe, blame them very much. They just really, well, it's, good riddance, and